On today's show, the Cavs let a huge opportunity slip through their fingers on Christmas Day against the New York Knicks, but this loss shouldn't be something that erases the good vibes about this team. We'll talk about it all on today's edition of Locked On Cavs.
You are Locked On Cavs, your daily Cleveland Cavaliers podcast,
part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Again, everybody, my name is Danny Cunningham, and I cover the Cleveland Cavaliers over at my Substack, The Inside Shot, and you're making another edition of Locked On Cavs, your first or maybe even second listen today and every day. You can find this show anywhere you get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, or anywhere else, and we are on YouTube as well, so please do us a favor, hit that thumbs up button for us, click subscribe, and hit that notification bell as we get started here. It's because of you that Locked On is now the #1 sports podcast network in all of America. And today's episode brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. On today's show, going to talk about what went wrong in the fourth quarter for the Cavs and the second quarter too, as they lose a game against the New York Knicks that they should have won. We'll talk about a lot of the good things that did happen in this game, because it's not like this was just an all-time bad performance from the Cavs. They did do a lot of good things, and we will talk about why the Cavs are optimistic that as a group, they think they're heading in the right direction. But we need to start with the fourth quarter in this game, because the Cavs ultimately do lose to the Knicks, 126-124. And it was a game that they controlled the majority of. They led for over 35 minutes in this game. They had a 17-point lead early in the fourth quarter with, I believe it was 10 minutes and 26 seconds left in regulation. The Cavs were up by 17 points. And I didn't necessarily get the feeling, oh, this is over. Like I could record the pod now. Like I did have the feeling that there were going to be some things that the Cavs needed to work through in order to get the win. Obviously, that was the correct intuition that I had there, because they couldn't find a way to get the win. But there were good things that led to that, and we'll get to those in a little bit. But to me, this all unraveled with the Cavs not being able to get defensive rebounds. And the thing is, over the course of the day, they did a good job of it. It's in the fourth quarter, they did a terrible job. In the first three quarters, I believe the Knicks had a total of 4 second chance points. You'll live with that. Like, you're never going to be perfect in that category, no matter who you are. Like, the Cavs are going to give up second chance points in every game they play this year. And guess what? The Cavs are going to score second chance points in every game they play this year. Like, that's kind of how it goes. But I thought that through the first three quarters, whenever the Cavs are on the floor, like, that is a concern. But in the first three quarters, it felt okay. Like, they're all right here. They're doing a good job of this. And there were other issues that, we will talk about too. I mean, the turnovers they had in the second quarter were absolutely debilitating. And really the only reason why this game was within 17 points, because the Cavs were so good in the first quarter and so good in the third quarter. But the rebounding for me, particularly from Jared Allen in the fourth quarter, I thought was a major issue. And rebounding is a team stat. And I've talked about this before, like when guys will go out and have a good rebounding game, it's not all on them. And sometimes when a team has a bad rebounding game, one guy is not exempt from the criticism. I think that rebounding truly is a team stat. But I look at this and I think that while that is true, it's something that for me on this game, which I keep wanting to say Sunday because the Cavs played in the afternoon, it's Thursday. But it starts with Jared Allen. Really, for me. And in the fourth quarter, he had one rebound. It was an offensive rebound. Mitch Robinson had 4 offensive rebounds for the New York Knicks. Like, if you want to give an MVP to the Knicks in this game, like, sure, you could say it was Jalen Brunson who had 34 points. I didn't think Brunson was all that good. Like, he got to the line 10 times on a couple of, I thought, iffy 3-point fouls that he got. Like, that's kind of where he got a lot of his points. But the Cavs held him 10-25 shooting. That's a really good place to be. Jordan Clarkson was really good. Like, maybe that's it. Or Tyler Kolek, who hit, I believe, 3 of his 4 3-pointers in the fourth quarter. Like, he was awesome in a plus 24. But for me, Mitch Robinson was the one who changed this game. If Mitch Robinson did not have the fourth quarter that he had, and I realize in saying this that he didn't score a single point. And I don't necessarily think he was great defensively either. But he had 8 offensive rebounds. And 4 of those came in the fourth quarter. And a lot of those led to 3-pointers because the Knicks scored 10. So after the Cavs took that 17-point lead, the Knicks closed out the game on a 40-21 run. Of those 40 points, 10 of them were second chance points. So a quarter of the points that they scored on that game-deciding run, game-winning run, came after they had already missed a shot. The Knicks in the fourth quarter They missed 12 shots the entire fourth quarter. They had 5 offensive rebounds on their 12 misses. So really, the Cavs got 7 stops when the Knicks actually attempted a shot. Now, there were turnovers, I believe, mixed in there. Like, they had a couple. I don't know how many. Not that it's necessarily all that relevant to the conversation. But when you are rebounding just under 50% of your own misses for a quarter, that's a recipe to win. And when you are allowing offensive rebounds on just over or just under half of the stops that you're getting, it's really hard to get stop after stop after stop. Like, there was a possession in the fourth quarter where the Knicks missed 2 threes, but Jalen Brunson then got a third crack at it. And you know it's not going to happen. An offense as good as the Knicks is not going to miss from three times in one possession. In New York, like, a big part of the reason why they won this game is they were really hot from deep. They were 21 of 44. And often when you shoot almost 50% on that type of volume, you're going to find a way to win. And that ultimately is something that did help the Knicks win this game. And the Cavs shot the ball well too. Like, it's not just that. But when you give a team that has an offense that is as good as the Knicks is, and I thought for the most part, the Cavs did a good job. Like, they did, I thought, a really good job defending Karl-Anthony Towns. I did not think Towns was very good in this game. Josh Hart, when he was on the floor and he had to leave with an ankle injury, did not think that he was good in this game. OG Anunoby was not good in this game. Mikal Bridges was just okay in this game offensively. Like, the Cavs got beat because they let Jalen Brunson get to the line. They struggled against Tyler Kolek, who hit 4 out of 5 from 3. They let Jordan Clarkson get going in the second quarter, who hit 5 threes in this game. And because they couldn't grab rebounds. Like, that to me is where this game went wrong. They need to be a better rebounding team if they want to get to where they want to get to. And I do understand, too, that they can point to, well, last year in the postseason, they were a very good defensive rebounding team. And that is true. In the postseason last year against the Heat and the Indiana Pacers, the Cavs did a really good job rebounding. But I also look at it and say, is that a fair assessment of who this Cavs team is? When you look at the bigger picture, says the Cavs have not been a very good rebounding team, not just this year, not just last year, but really like the entirety of this core. They have struggled to rebound. And part of it is when you play with guards that, and I don't think Donovan Mitchell qualifies as a small guard. I think he plays bigger than his size. Darius Garland, without question, is a small guard. But when you have that and you don't necessarily have a really good rebounder on the wings, which the Cavs have not, it's going to put a lot on your bigs, right? And Jared Allen, I think, is an okay rebounder. Evan Mobley, I think, is just an okay rebounder. Like, he's good, he's not great. But I look at this and just say, it needs to be more of a team effort. And in the fourth quarter, the reason why I think it really does start with Jared Allen there is because he's the one that wasn't rebounding defensively. Donovan Mitchell in the fourth quarter had 3 defensive rebounds. I can't really ask much more from a guard, right? Like, Darius Garland didn't have any, and maybe that's an issue too, but I'm not expecting him to have a lot. Jalen Tyson had 2 defensive rebounds. He had 3 rebounds in the fourth quarter total. I'm not expecting much more. Like, that to me is doing your job. And Tyson only played, I think it was like 4 minutes and change in the fourth quarter. And there could be an argument about whether or not he should have been taken off the floor. Like, I thought that despite the fact that Tyson was a -1 in the 20 minutes he played, that second half, I thought he was awesome. He finished with 16 points. We'll talk about him coming up in just a minute. But he was really good. Evan Mobley had 2 defensive rebounds, which, like, should he have more? Yes. Is the offensive rebound that Karl-Anthony Towns got in the final minute of the game on Evan Mobley? Probably. Like, that's his guy. He's got a box out there. That, to me, you put that one on him. But overall, to see Mitch Robinson dominate Jared Allen on the glass the way that he did, to me, is the biggest reason why the Cavs lost this game. There are a number of other things that went wrong in the fourth quarter. Offensively, they could have been better, but, like, they scored 28 points in the fourth quarter offensively. It's not that big of an issue. Could they have made more shots? Sure. But to me, it comes down to not being able to finish possessions defensively. Because I do think, despite what the Knicks shot, and they shot 46.8% from the floor, 47.7% from the field, or from three-point range, I thought the Cavs actually did a good job defensively. I do. I thought that this was one of the better defensive games that they've played. When you consider how good the Knicks are offensively, and they are one of the best teams in the NBA offensively, and what the Cavs have done defensively recently, where it hasn't necessarily been great. So the first quarter, New York only scored 23 points in the first quarter. Second quarter, the Knicks scored 37 points, and a lot of that was because the Cavs turned the ball over a ton. So of the 37 points that the Knicks scored, 17 of them came off of turnovers in the second quarter. Like that to me, that offensive outburst from New York was more about the Cavs offense than it was the Cavs defense. Like it wasn't perfect. Don't get me wrong. Like the Knicks did good things offensively, as good offensive teams are going to do. And they made 7 of the 10 threes that they took, which is certainly shooting above your heads, no matter how good the looks were. But that to me was more about, well, the Cavs turned the ball over in the second quarter 8 times and they only made 7 shots. Like that is so much more about the Cavs offensively, I think. And then the fourth quarter to me, again, I didn't think the defense was bad. I thought that the rebounding was the thing. And rebounding is certainly a part of defense. Like it's often that the best defensive teams are also some of the best rebounding teams. And that is something that the Cavs do need to get cleaned up. That is something that needs to be much better than it has been for them. But I look at this and say, if they just would have rebounded the basketball better, this is a team that finds a way to win this game. And if they find a way to win this game, I think that our view of the Cavs is much different than it probably is right now. Because this is a team, and I don't think that this loss to the Knicks should erase the past week. I don't believe that to be true. Like this win, had they won this game, I think it would have been the best win of the season. Certainly the most important win of the season. Like if you want to make an argument, given what Detroit has turned into, that win in Detroit early in the season, what would have been a better one than this one? Like, sure, I think that's just kind of semantics at this point. But I also think that this would have been a win that would have cemented what the Cavs have done earlier this week. This would have cemented that, okay, early season struggles are gone. It would not have erased them. Like the record still would have been what the record still would have been, right? Like it would not have erased the fact that they did lose these games. But I think it would have been much easier to look at the Cavs as a whole and say, you know what? They struggled early in the season, but they're a different team right now. And I do think that still is true, but I think it's a little bit more of a challenge to say that when they found a way to lose this game. Now, this loss felt different from a lot of the other ones, right? Like it didn't feel like the loss to Charlotte. It didn't feel like either of the losses to Chicago. It didn't feel like the loss to Golden State, where those were games that the Cavs had to frantically fight back to try and win. This one, they really did control a lot of the game. And I do think, like, if you want to look for a good sign, that certainly is one of them. And I do think, too, like, I know I've spent the first 12 minutes of this show talking about what the Cavs did wrong, but they did do a lot of things right. Like, in order to have a 17-point lead on the road against a team that is near the top of the East right now, like, a lot of things do have to go your way. You have to do things correctly and properly, and, like, you have to look good. And I do think that has mattered. And I want to talk about that, right? Because I do think that the good things should be talked about, even though they lost this game. And I know it's frustrating, and I totally get that. But inside the locker room, the Cavs are optimistic. And there were good things to come out of this game, and we'll talk about some of them next right here on Locked On Cavs. But first, today's show brought to you by DoorDash. The season is heating up, and DoorDash has a way to keep fans in their bag the whole way through. Whether you're watching the highlights, the tunnel fits, or just your favorite player, DoorDash makes the entire season more fun because every player has their back. With DoorDash, fans have one too. DoorDash keeps your snacks stocked, your gear fresh, and your watch party vibes absolutely on point. There are nights when your team stresses you out, but let DoorDash become your post-game therapy. Sometimes you just need dessert, and you just need it right now. And those late-night interviews hit, and suddenly you need chips at midnight. Well, DoorDash is built exactly for that. The group chat says pull up, and DoorDash makes it so that you show up prepared. They've got snacks, cups, even a phone charger for the friend that always keeps their phone on 2%. I don't know how people live like that. I really don't. So from tip-off to overtime, stay in your bag and order on DoorDash. Get snacks, drinks, gear, whatever you need to get through the season, delivered right to your door. DoorDash, in your bag all season long. Thank you again for making this edition of Locked On Cavs your first listen. And thank you to those of you that make Locked On Cavs your first listen every single day. And the Cavs did do a lot of good things in this game. And like I said earlier, you don't build a 17-point lead. Really, I think at multiple times. I think they led by 17 in the first quarter as well. But you don't build a 17-point lead against a really good team like New York unless you do good things. And I thought offensively, aside from that second quarter and maybe the last few minutes of the game, I thought the Cavs did a lot of really good things offensively. Like I thought the ball movement, again, was really good. They had 30 assists again. That's 3 straight games with 30 or more assists, which is definitely, I think, a really, really good sign about where this Cavs team is going. The fact that they had that, I think, is a really good sign. 3-point shooting, once again, was really good. They were 15 of 35. That is 3 straight games where they've shot 40% or better from 3, which is a really, really good sign for a team that was from November 19th until earlier this week, the worst 3-point shooting team in basketball. So I do think it'll be interesting at the end of the day when all the Christmas games are over to see where the Cavs rank in terms of 3-point percentage, because they went from 27th in 3-point percentage before their game on Monday against Charlotte to, I believe it was 21st in 3-point percentage entering the game on Christmas Day against the Knicks. So I do think that is certainly something to look at in the right direction. And offensively, like, they had some bad spurts. There was that 5-minute stretch in the second quarter that was terrible. They turned the ball over a ton. Like, I think they had their first 3 possessions of that quarter. They turned the ball over, and Jordan Clarkson hit a 3. Then Jordan Clarkson hit a 3. That might have been Tyler Kolek's other 3. But, like, that got the Knicks back into the game was what they were doing offensively then. And I do think, too, maybe their shot selection could have been a little bit different. They only took 35 threes, which I know we have talked a lot this year about the Cavs taking too many 3-pointers. I think 35 might be too few. Like, I would like to see them probably be around 40, especially when they look like this, when they have as many healthy bodies as they did. And Donovan was 4 of 10. Like, it's not a great night, but not a bad night. Darius was 3 of 4 from deep. Sam Merrill didn't shoot the ball well, but I do look at it and just think that the positive impact that he has is felt in so many ways. I do think, too, him having 5 rebounds, like on a night where the Cavs could have used more rebounding, Sam turning into a good rebounder as he's been the past week, I think is a really, really good thing. I think that is certainly something to be excited about. Some of the other good things, Evan Mobley returned, right? He missed the past 5 games because of a calf injury, and he typically has been a quick healer, right? Like, think back to earlier in Evan's career. I don't know if it was his first or second season. I think it might have been his first season when he had that elbow injury. I don't remember the specifics of it, and I was not covering the team at the time. But he had that elbow injury, and then he was supposed to be out for like 3 weeks, and he was back in 10 days. And then when he had the knee surgery and the ankle injuries that he's had in the past, like, he has pretty consistently been able to return to play quicker than the injury timelines that's been given, which is kind of funny considering how some of the other guys on the roster, for one reason or another, haven't necessarily always done that either. Like, Sam Merrill was day to day, and I know what Sam has been fighting through, and I do believe that he is playing through pain right now. Like, I have a lot of reason to believe that he's playing through pain. But that injury took longer to heal than the Cavs thought, and Kenny Atkinson brought that up after the game. But someone said to me that I was talking to before the game that Evan's just like Wolverine. Like, he just has a way to be a fast healer. So I thought that he would miss more time than he missed. I wasn't necessarily sure he was going to miss the 4 weeks, which was at the high end of the estimate that he could have missed when he did originally injure this a few weeks ago after the Cavs lost against Washington, or win in Washington, excuse me. But I certainly did not think, especially with it being a calf injury and how dangerous those tend to be, I didn't think he'd be back even before the 2 weeks, which was the low estimate for return to play from that injury. So that's obviously a good sign. And his return, like, played 25 minutes. I thought he looked pretty good. I thought he was getting downhill. He only took 1 3, which is fine. He had 9 rebounds, 14 points. Like, more volume obviously matters. Only playing 25 minutes, I do think, like, suppressed his point total, suppressed the number of field goal attempts that he had. But in terms of role and the way that he was used, I loved that he was getting downhill. I loved the spots the Cavs were putting him in with the basketball. They were able to let him attack guys like Mitch Robinson, guys like Karl Anthony Towns. I thought overall, Evan had a really, really good game. And I do think that is certainly a reason to be optimistic about this, because this is the Cavs getting healthier. And I know they lost, and I get that that's the thing that matters most coming out of this game. But this was also the first game in which the Cavs have only had 2 guys on standard contracts out due to injury since November 10th. That was the game they lost in overtime against Miami. And if you remember, Darius Garland re-injured his toe in that game. So it's been a long time since they've had this sort of health. Now, it comes at the right time because the schedule gets tough, right? Like, the Knicks are a good team. They play Houston on Saturday. They play the Spurs on Monday. Those are some really tough games. And then they've got a game with the Suns, the Nuggets, the Pistons. Like, their next 5 games are really, really challenging. And they need to find a way to win some of them, certainly. And they've got a better chance of doing so, I think, if they're healthy compared to what they've been lately. So I do think the health aspect certainly is a really good thing. But, like, overall, I thought the Cavs played, as Donovan Mitchell put it, and I do agree with him here, I thought they played about 43 minutes of really good basketball. And the 5 minutes of bad basketball that they played, I don't necessarily think was like consecutively, because I don't think that the final 10 minutes they played was all bad. They did some good things over that stretch, certainly. The second quarter had bad moments, but overall, like, I do think there's a lot to be happy about. I think there's a lot to be optimistic about. And I do think this is a team trending in the right direction. And one other guy I want to shout out before I move on to why the Cavs are optimistic is Jalen Tyson. I thought Tyson was really good in this game, particularly in the third quarter. He had 11 of his 16 points in the third quarter. I actually think if you want to second guess Kenny Atkinson, maybe playing Jalen Tyson more down the stretch of this game, like letting him be somebody on the floor to close this game out, considering how good he was in the third quarter. I think that could have been something that maybe would have changed this game. I thought he was good on both ends. He was 7 of 11, 2 of 4 from beyond the arc, had 6 rebounds in the game, did have 4 fouls and 2 turnovers, but overall, like, Jalen Tyson to me really looks like somebody that I think you should be excited about. Like, I think that the future that he's got continues to get better and better. I think that people around the league are starting to really be impressed with the player that Jalen Tyson is becoming. And he looks to me like somebody that absolutely 100% needs to be in the rotation. Like right now, if the Cavs were fully healthy, like say Larry Nance Jr. is back tomorrow, say Max Strus is back tomorrow, those guys are not back tomorrow, but just like for the point of discussion, say that they were, Jalen Tyson has to be in the rotation ahead of somebody like Lonzo Ball. I think obviously Thomas Bryant too, who Bryant played 3 minutes in this game and they did not go well, but I don't necessarily think it's his fault. But like Jalen Tyson so far this year, I think he's been really good. I think this was a really, really impressive game by him. I think the Cavs need him to continue to make these types of contributions. And if they do, they're going to feel really good about where things trend. But this loss, like I said, it didn't feel like a lot of the other ones the Cavs have had. And even though it's a loss, I think there are a lot of good things that can be taken away from this. And because of that, I think it's a reason for optimism. And I'm not changing the way I feel about the Cavs based on one game. I'll tell you why next, right here on Locked On Cavs. But first, today's show is brought to you by Game Time. During basketball season, there's nothing like being in the building, the energy, the crowd, the first big run that gets everyone on their feet. Fans want to be there for those moments, not stuck refreshing screens or guessing what tickets are really going to cost. And that's where Game Time comes in. Game Time app gives fans the advantage back. They make it incredibly easy to score amazing tickets, fast, simple, and without all the guesswork that typically comes with trying to get your butt in the building. Browsing the Game Time app is straightforward and simple. Finding tickets takes just a few taps, and seeing the view from your seat before buying, which is one of my favorite features, right? Like when I'm going to something that I'm not actively working, when I don't have a credential at something, I want to be able to see, all right, what's it going to look like? Like say I go to a Browns game, right? I want to know what's my view. Say I go to a Guardians game in the summer. What's home plate look like from where I'm sitting? Am I going to miss half the action? With Game Time, you know what to expect going in. I think that's one of the best parts. One of the other things I think they do really well is they include the fees up front. Everywhere puts these fees last minute, and you're like, I thought this was only going to cost so much. Instead, it costs like $20 more. Not with Game Time. They tell you the fees up front and the total is clear from the very beginning. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNBA. That is LOCKEDONNBA, LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Really good deal. Again, $20 off your first purchase with the code LOCKEDONNBA. Download the Game Time app today and get in on the action. Thank you again for making this Christmas edition of Locked On Cavs your first listen. And thank you to those of you that do make Locked On Cavs your first listen every single day. And there's no way around saying that this was a loss. The Cavs should have won this game. And there are certainly things to be frustrated about. But this loss did not feel like several of the other ones. As I mentioned earlier, the Cavs have had a battle back and it not been enough. This was a game, I thought the effort was really good for the Cavs. I thought they played hard on both ends. There are some things that need to be cleaned up. But had they played this type of basketball through their first 31 games of the season, which is how many they had played coming into today, if they had played like this, I think that they're near the top of the East. Like, would that have changed every game? No. And they would have still missed some shots, and that I don't necessarily think is controlled by effort. But overall, I think that they did a lot of good things. And because the Cavs lost this game, there's going to be a lot of frustration. But what this shouldn't do, and what I don't think it's doing internally, in fact, I know it's not doing this internally because I asked about it. What this isn't doing internally, it's not erasing the steps, the progress the Cavs have made this week. Kenny Atkinson was really encouraged with the way the Cavs played. Now, it didn't go their way, and ultimately you are judged on wins and losses in this league. But this isn't the case where, oh, the Cavs lost to the Knicks in December. Season's over, right? Like, I do think, too, if the Cavs had played the Knicks 2 weeks ago, the Cavs probably lose that game by like 25 points because the Knicks have been playing good basketball. I know that they've had a few maybe not as great games lately, but they played very well in this one. And the Cavs have been playing terrible. I think that this game, even though it's a loss, was still a step in the right direction. And I do think that the way that this season has gone hasn't been as anybody expected. I don't even think when Donovan Mitchell sat up at the podium after the Cavs lost to the Pacers and gave his speech about nobody was going to care about what happened in the regular season last year, I don't think anybody expected this. And while that's fair, I think if you want to be frustrated, being frustrated because the Cavs lost this game is totally fair. But I also think that this is a day that should be about more than just this game. I think right now, and probably for the next few weeks, this is a time when it should be about the big picture with the Cavs. And this is a team that things got rocky. I don't know that necessarily internally they were as rocky as they were pointed to be. Like Kenny Atkinson was never on the hot seat. He's not getting fired. The Cavs are not going to make some big trade. That's not going to happen. This is a team that has almost all of its goals in front of it still. They're not going to finish with the best record in basketball. They probably won't be the 1 seed in the East. But this is a team that I do think I can confidently say is getting better. This is a team that if 10 days ago looked nothing like what they looked like on Christmas. 10 days ago, they looked, 10 days, just over a week ago. So it's Thursday. Last Wednesday, I was in Chicago watching one of the worst games the Cavs have played all year, where the effort was terrible. They couldn't hit a shot. They looked like a zombie version of a basketball team. The team I watched on Thursday looked like a conference finals type team. Now, they need to get better. Like, that's not good enough. What they did today is not good enough, but they're trending towards being good enough. And that's what should matter, in my opinion. That is the thing that I look at and say, okay, they lost on Christmas. Yeah, they've lost 2 times to the Knicks, but as we saw last year, they beat the Knicks 4 times last year, including just absolutely destroying them once. I don't know how much that matters. This outcome, to me, shouldn't be something that shapes the season for the Cavs. This outcome, to me, and I think to the Cavs too, is something that should say, okay, they're out of whatever funk they were in, where they looked like they couldn't win a basketball game, where they lose 8 out of 11. And again, this is still a loss. Like, it shows up in the standings the same way the game against Charlotte did, and the same way both games against Chicago did. Like, that doesn't change, but it feels much different than it did. Like, it feels to me like, okay, the Cavs lost a basketball game because a lot of things didn't go their way. Some of them controllable, some of them not controllable down the stretch of the game. They need to be better, but they're so much better than they were. And I don't have reason to think that they're not going to get better from this, because so far with what we have seen, this is a team that is getting better. They're going to figure it out. And even though they lost this game, I come away from it leaving New York thinking, you know what, the Cavs are going to be okay. Like, even if you got to the point during that rut that they were in to where you thought, man, things are looking really rocky. Yeah, they lost this game, but they're not looking the way they were. I think that if you want to be frustrated, go for it. There are reasons to be frustrated that they lost this game. But I also think if you're taking a big picture view, you probably come out of this game thinking, you know what? The Cavs are going to be all right. They're still going to be a really good team. Are they going to win the finals? I don't know, right? Like, I wouldn't say anything looks likely considering how good some teams out west are. But I also look at it and say, maybe we were a little too quick to say the Cavs aren't capable of doing what they should be capable of doing. Maybe we were a little too quick to say, the Cavs can't win the East. This is a lost season from hell. Maybe we were a little too quick to say those things, because this, to me, even though they lost, this to me looked like a team capable of winning the East. And for the past 3 games, that's what they've looked like. And it's December. It's early. They're still going to get better. I truly do believe. So I do think that even in a loss, you should probably come out of Christmas Day saying, you know what? The worst is over for this team. They're digging out of this rut. They're going to be okay. Now, they have to follow it up with another strong performance. Like even in a loss, there were a lot of good things. They have to follow it up with a good game against Houston. And I don't want to say that it's a must win, but Houston's good. San Antonio is very good. Like those are two very big games coming up on the schedule on this road trip for the Cavs. And if they continue to play like this, they're going to be just fine in those games too. But thank you for spending part of your Christmas holiday with me, whether you're watching this on Christmas or the day after or listening to this whenever, wherever you get your podcast to, Apple, Spotify, or anywhere else. I appreciate you making me part of your daily routine and coming to me and trusting me with your Cleveland Cavaliers coverage. Because if not for you, I wouldn't be recording this podcast from a hotel room in New York City on Christmas Day. So thank you for hanging out with me. Very much do appreciate it. Make sure you go check out the Locked On Cavs Every Dayer Club as well. A link is in the show description. If you want to join, you get ad-free episodes of Locked On Cavs plus exclusive access to a Discord server with Cavs fans like yourself where you can talk everything Cleveland Cavaliers. So that's going to do it for me in this edition of Locked On Cavs. Like I said, you can find the show anywhere you get your podcast, Apple, Spotify, YouTube as well. And as we get out of here, please subscribe wherever you get it and hit the thumbs up button on YouTube. And I will talk to you later more about the Cleveland Cavaliers.